and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 25th March 2025. So let's get started with our discussion. So before getting started, I want to make a small announcement. We in Rathod Science Academy, we are going to start Prelims cum Mains Foundation batch from April 8th. So if you are interested to join this, you can take either on offline or online, your wish. And the medium of classes will be English language. And one more thing here is I will be available here for the offline students so that if you have any doubt, you can get mentorship from me. And if you want to talk to me directly before joining this academy, and you can come and visit our academy, which is present above Vikas Book Center, second and third floor in Ashok Nagar, exactly opposite sub-registrar office. And I will be available in the office from morning 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock in the evening, so that you can contact me, and if you have any queries, you can resolve your doubts, then only you can join this academy. Okay, and now let us see the first article, guys. So if you see the title of this first article, it is saying that strength of cloud band influences movement and density of rain during Indian monsoon, says IIAC study. So here, what is this article talking about? There is one recent study which had been released, and this study done by this IISc, and what it is saying, so it is saying about cloud bands. Okay, now what are the dimensions you have to see? First of all, what is a keyword? Keyword is cloud band. Okay, so from which subject we will be seeing this? From GS paper 1 under geography. In this geography also, this is part of your world geography. Okay, so actually if you see this article, so you will be saying about clouds. So if you open your syllabus of world geography, you will be having this topic called as clouds and precipitation. So here what you have to see, what are the dimensions, you have to see about what are these clouds. And you have to see about how these clouds are formed, that is about formation of clouds. And next we have different types of clouds. Okay, so in these types of clouds we have low altitude clouds, middle altitude clouds and high altitude clouds, and you have to see examples for each. And not only examples, you have to see about even different features. For example, cirrus clouds, they are appearing like cotton ball like thing. And we have cumulonimbus clouds, very large vertical clouds. So like that, you have to see the features of these clouds also. It is very important. And there is a very high chance of getting questions regarding these types of clouds. Clear? And actually why we are discussing cloud band now? Because now we are seeing from this Indian geography point of view. So if you see our climate of India, so which kind of climate we have? Everyone knows. That is monsoon type of climate, right? So monsoon season is also called as rainy season. In that season, especially southwest winds will be moving on to our Indian subcontinent, and that will cause rainfall, right? So here this article is saying that here whenever we are seeing about rainfall in this period of monsoon, even cloud and even this cloud band is very important. We have to see even cloud band. So till now we rejected this cloud band, and even we didn't focus on this cloud band, but now the study is saying that cloud band is also very important. Why? Because monsoon gives rainfall. And actually, you know that many crops in India, that is nothing but agriculture in India, is mainly based on what? Rain-fed agriculture or rainfall-dependent agriculture. That means if you're not having proper cloud band, do we get rainfall? No, right? So proper rainfall will not get. That means it will be affecting food security, it will be affecting agriculture, and as well as income of lots of people and even employment of our country, right? So for all these things, now cloud band is also a very important thing that is mainly said by this study. So now let us see this article. Okay, so this article is saying that a recent study, and this study conducted by IISc, that is nothing but Indian Institute of Science, and this study had revealed that yes, now we are having a new insights into how the strength of cloud band affects the movement and density of rainfall. So if you're having very thick clouds, what happens? We will be getting good rainfall. If you're having less thick or thin clouds, means we will be having very less rainfall, right? So here the density of rainfall and the movement of rainfall, that means the expanse of the rainfall is depend upon this cloud band in Indian subcontinent, especially in this monsoon season. So this is the highlights of this study. And now let us see some more important points. So actually traditionally it was believed that cloud bands, they would consistently travel northward. As you all know that if you see the mechanism of monsoons, what happened? So let us consider this is India and this is our equator, right? So normally what happens during this summer solstice, ITCZ, that is intertropical convergence zone, which will be moving towards this 23.5 degree north, right? So here we will be having this ITCZ, intertropical convergence zone. That means we will be having low pressure here, right? So if you see here, we have like 30 degrees south, this is also high pressure. So the winds now will try to move from high pressure to low pressure. So here whenever winds are moving from high pressure to low pressure, we have to see or we have to take into consideration even Coriolis force, right? So here from high pressure to low pressure, the winds move in this way. But because of Coriolis force in southern hemisphere, the winds will be deflecting towards which side? Left. Will be moving like this. But here at the 0 degree centigrade, we are not having this low pressure. Where low pressure is there? At this 23.5 degree north. So from here also wind have to move in this direction, right? But now it is northern hemisphere. So in which side the winds will be moving? Rightward deflection will happen because of this Coriolis force. So now winds will be moving in this rightward, right? Okay, rightward means nothing but from south towards north, the winds are moving, right? So here this point is saying that traditionally we believe that whatever the clouds which are formed, they consistently travel in northward. That means from high pressure region to low pressure region, from southern hemisphere to northern hemisphere, that is towards northward. So this winds, these clouds are moving. They are independent of conditions which are present at the equator. Whatever the conditions which are present at the equator, we are not taking into that consideration, but we traditionally believe that winds moving from southern hemisphere towards northern hemisphere, that is northward movement of these winds, because of that the clouds will be also carried away. So however, recent findings, they said that if cloud band is weak, if cloud band is weak as it approaches the equator, it will not able to propagate northwards efficiently. So whenever cloud bands are not moving northward, then what happened? Do we get the effect rainfall? No, the rainfall amount will be reduced in India. So this study which highlights that cloud band plays a very important role, especially determining the duration and as well as intensity of rainfall. If you are having good thick cloud, the duration of rainfall is high, chala sepu, like we will be getting rainfall for the long period of time. And next one here is intense. Intensity means nothing but we will be getting good heavy water. Okay. And next one here is, this is very very important for our India because it is a critical source of drinking water and irrigation. So in this rainy season, whatever the rain that we are getting, so what happens, our ponds will be getting regenerated, lakes will be getting regenerated, and dams will be also collecting good amount of water. So this is the one important source, that is monsoon is the one important source of water for irrigation and as well as monsoon. And the Indian monsoon season occurs in which period? That is between June and as well as September. So in this month only we will be getting around 80% of annual rainfall. So in that year, how much amount of rainfall we'll get? So about 80% of that rainfall that will receive only in this period, like June, July and September regions. So this rainfall is very important for our agriculture, food security, production, water supply, employment opportunities in agriculture, etc. So what is this cloud band? Cloud band is a long continuous formation of clouds. Okay, that happens in the portion of its atmosphere, that is called as cloud band. And now let us see the next article. Title says finance bill is a classic case of patchwork solution, says Tharoor. So we are not focusing on any political thing, but we will be focusing on this word finance bill. So what is the keyword? Keyword is finance bill. Okay, so from where you will be studying this topic, guys? Yes, from GS paper 2 under polity we will be studying that. So what you have to see here from polity, especially you have to see about types of bill. So how many types of bills we have? We have ordinary bill first one, we have money bill second one, and third one is finance bills, and next one is constitutional amendment bills. So you have to make a notes in a single A4 size sheet, okay, by comparing all these bills. So what this bill deals about: ordinary bill, money bill, financial bill, and constitutional amendment bill. And there are relevant articles. You have to see about articles of this each and every bill, and you have to see in which house it will be presented. Some bills are exclusively presented in Lok Sabha. Okay, some bills can be presented in both Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and some bills need prior recommendation of president, which bills they are. And to pass that bills also we need certain majority, like simple majority, special majority. So you have to see which kind of majority is required for passing of which bill. So if you are making that notes, then you will be getting for sure questions regarding these types of bills, guys. And now let us see about in detail regarding this finance bill. And in this finance bills, we have type 1 and as well as type 2. You have to see that. And even you have to see what is the difference between these two in this finance bill as well. So if you see about these finance bills, they are also called as Act for Appropriation of Funds for Appropriations. So if they want to withdraw money, then they can't withdraw money without passing this finance bill. So that is the importance of finance bill. So finance bills, they are responsible for fiscal matters. So which are the fiscal matters they will be dealing with? For example, government spending, government's revenue, and even these bills which specifies about the amount to be spent by the government. Okay, and next one here is we have certain rule called as Rule 219 in our Lok Sabha. So this says about definition of finance bill. So what is the definition of finance bill according to this Lok Sabha Rule 219? So it is defined that the bill that is typically introduced each year to give effect to the government of India's financial proposals for upcoming fiscal year. And this bill also gives effect to supplementary financial proposals for any period. So for example, you know that every year government will be passing budget, and before this budget is approved, so they need certain amount of money, right? Okay, so for that they have to pass this finance bill to get appropriation of money from CFI, that is Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, so actually finance bills, they are component of our union budget. So which article talks about it? Article 110 subclass A, which says that yes, finance bill will be presented together with the budget. Okay, now let us see the types. So we have bill 1, that is a finance bill type 1, and next one is type 2. So type 1 is talked in article 117 subclass 1. So it includes not only subjects related to article 110 talks about the money bill, but even it also includes some legislative powers. And next one here is compared to that of money bill, we can compare with this finance bill as the money bill in two ways. The first one is both bills, they should be presented or introduced in Lok Sabha only, not in Rajya Sabha. Next one is both bills can be introduced only on this president's consent or advice. And next one is finance bill 2. They do not contain any of the items listed in 110. That is, it is not like a money bill, but it contains some measures which is impacting Consolidated Fund of India spending. Okay, and this type 2 bill is called as, like, it is very much similar to that of ordinary bill itself. Okay, and now let us see the next article. Title says center issues guidelines to tackle high rate of job cut deletions under MG Naregas. So this article is talking about one important scheme called as MG Narega. So whenever you are getting these types of schemes in the newspaper, you have to make a notes for that. So what you have to see, what is the full form of this scheme first of all. MGNREGA stands for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. So in which year it came up? In year 2005. For what? For providing of 100 days of guaranteed employment for rural people. Okay, it is only rural related employment guarantee scheme, but not about the urban areas. And next one here is whoever who are going to do this work under MGNREGA, they have to register first, and after that they will be getting job cards. Okay, and if government is not providing employment for them, government will also entitled to provide compensation for those people, right? Okay, so now actually what is the issue is, actually in many states, so job cards had been deleted. Okay, if you see, the context is saying that Ministry of Rural Development issued certain guidelines to tackle the challenges of high rate of deletions of job cards issued to workers under this MGNREGA scheme. So how many people lost their job cards? If you see the data from last 4 years, around 10.43 crore workers, they had been deleted from this program. Okay, so because of this, what happened, whenever 10 crore people are losing this job cards, means those people, they will be losing their employment opportunities, right? And even affecting the poverty, hunger, and even increasing of malnutrition, and even decent work they will not get. Right to work is getting affected. So all those are the impacts. So now the central government gives some guidelines to tackle with this. So now let us wait and see what the government will do. So until then, just you have to see some basics of this MGNREGA, what is that and which ministry is taking care of that. What about funding mechanism? Okay, what are the problems? Why this MGNREGA is seen in recently news? For example, they are saying that Aadhaar enabled payment system, and even they are using certain apps for the attendance, and even fingerprinting issue is also there. In some areas, there is no proper network also. So all those challenges try to write somewhere. Okay. Yes, now let us see the next article, guys. Yeah, title says, as ice frozen for millennia thaws, Kashmir wakes up to new risk. So this article is talking about permafrost. Okay, so actually this article is talking about melting of permafrost. So the keyword here is permafrost. So from which subject you will be seeing this, guys? From GS paper 3 under environment and ecology, you will be studying this article. Okay, so what are the dimensions you have to see? You have to see first of all what is this permafrost, and you have to see what is the composition of this permafrost and why this melting of this permafrost is happening now, causes. And next you have to see what is the impact. So what happens if the melting of this permafrost happens on our environment? And next you have to see about what are the measures can be taken, and you have to see about even geography, like areas where we can found this permafrost. Okay, clear? Now let us see this article in detail. So actually this article is saying that recently one study had been done, and that study they said that permafrost covers 64.8 percentage of the total area which is located in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. In Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, around 64 percentage of area which is covered by this permafrost. And experts they said that it is very crucial, especially we have to save this permafrost. Why? Because now especially we are going for developmental activities, and even we studied that BRO, that is Border Road Organization, is also laying infrastructure projects along this India and China border, right? And India and China, in Pakistan border also, for improvement of access, especially to reach that place and for better transportation facilities, everything. We are going for construction, and even we are going for construction of dams to produce hydroelectricity in this Himalayan region, right? And even roads, real estate is going on. So because of this, what happened? There is increased movement of people. So whenever there is increased movement of people, obviously it will lead to destruction. So now what is happening here is there is melting of permafrost is happening in this Jammu and Kashmir and as well as Ladakh region. Okay, so here if you see, why we are talking about this permafrost melting? So permafrost melting is an emerging and unique environmental threat that we are going to face now, especially in this Kashmir Himalayas. So if you see Himalayas, we have different types of Himalayas like Trans Himalayas, Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas, and Outer Himalayas. So if you see longitudinally also we have Kashmir Himalayas, Punjab Himalayas, Komun Himalayas, like that. So you have to see even divisions of Himalayas, okay, latitudinal wise and longitudinal wise. Okay, so don't forget that. So actually this issue which is going to see in which Himalayas? It is Kashmir Himalayas. A new study which found that thawing, that is melting of permafrost, it could affect around 193 kilometers of road and as well as 2,415 households and even 903 alpine lakes. And not only infrastructure projects, even dams. So 8 hydroelectric power projects in this mountainous regions will be getting affected soon by this melting of permafrost. So permafrost is nothing but it is any type of ground. It is like soil, sediments or rock, etc. that has been continuously frozen at least for 2 years. And most of this permafrost on the earth which is mainly present in these polar regions like South Pole regions, North Pole regions, and even in our Himalayan regions. Okay, so actually, what is the problem with this is whenever global warming is happening, that is, whenever there is increasing of temperature across the globe, what happens? There will be melting of this permafrost happens. So permafrost, why we are thinking about that now? Because it is storing several tons of organic carbon. So whenever this is melting means what happened? Ice will be converted into water, and whatever the trapped carbon dioxide is there, that is released into atmosphere. So that what happens in atmosphere, carbon dioxide level will be increased. That means still it will leads to further more global warming. Already you are having this problem of global warming, and because of that global warming, permafrost melting will happen, and some tons of carbon dioxide will be released into atmosphere, and further leads to climate change, global warming, very intensified. Okay, that is a problem now. And next, if you see some important problems here, permafrost is any ground from soil or sediment to rock that had been frozen continuously from minimum 2 years to how many years? It may be even 1,000 years also. It can extend down beneath the earth's surface. Not only on the surface of earth we have this permafrost, and even inside the earth also we have this permafrost. Okay, and especially Arctic region and Antarctic region, alpine regions will be having this. So if you see globally, they can be found on land or even below the sea ocean floor also. And next one here is especially near north and south poles we have this, and permafrost is also found in higher elevation of northern hemisphere, and even in Siberia, Alaska, Canadian Arctic, Greenland and Tibetan plateau also we have this permafrost. And you have to make a note of this, write down somewhere about the examples where this permafrost is located. And what is the composition of this permafrost? So it is made up of soil, rocks or sand. And next one here is, yes, we have organic carbon. For example, from where it came, like material left over from dead plants that couldn't decompose or rot because of very coolness. And next one here is, it is also having minerals as well. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to remember. And now let us see the next article. Title says truth transparency. So this article is talking about especially appointment and transfer of judges. So we are seeing this topic from the last 1 week to 10 days onwards. So just see about what is collegium system, what are the articles related to appointment and as well as transfer of High Court and Supreme Court judges, what are the judges' cases, collegium system, and NJC Act. It is clearly given in your Lakshmikant. Apart from that, don't go deep politically. Okay, it is not at all useful, guys. Okay, now let us see the next article. Very important for the day. Title says colossal wastage that is food for thought. So actually this article is talking about food wastage in India. So when we discussed about micro listing of topics also, we discussed this. So there we discussed that yes, we are producing good food, but most of the times there is lack of food processing in India, lack of storage. So because of this, what happened? Tons of tomatoes they are dumped in this lakes, like that. We discussed that, right? So this is the same article which is talking about increasing of food wastage, especially in India. And here in this article, they gave some examples and as well as data. So try to note it down so that whenever you are writing answer regarding food wastage, so you can use this as a reference. Okay. So now let us see this article clearly. So this article is saying that United Nations Environment Program, that is UNEP. UNEP came up with one report called as Food Waste Index Report. Okay, UNEP came up with Food Waste Index Report of 2024. And this report is saying that in 2022, the world wasted, entire world wasted 1.05 billion tons. You can see the image or the number there. That is 1.05 billion tons of food. So it is nearly, if you compare with the population, how many people they consume that food is nearly 20% of all food which is available to the consumers. So 20% of food that can be eaten by the people that had been wasted in just 1 year. Okay, so here if you see the rank of India, India is one of the top in wasting of foods. So because of this, now this article is saying that we have to conserve this food. So if you see this article, so it is also defining what is the meaning of food wastage. So food wastage is defined as edible and inedible parts discarded from food supply chain, from manufacturing, retail to restaurants and households. So everywhere, it may be manufacturers, it may be supply chain, it may be retailers, it may be restaurants, it may be households. Whenever they're throwing out of edible or non-edible part is called as food wastage. And this report highlights that India is one of the topmost, a topper or topmost or highest in wasting of food, and second to China. That means first is China and second one is India. Okay, and next one here is, if you're talking about some details, it is saying that the food worth $1 trillion is wasted globally. So $1 trillion cost food that we are wasting every year in the globe. That means a figure that becomes even more disturbing when one considers around 783 million people are facing hunger. So already lots of people are facing hunger, but the people who are having extra food, they are wasting like anything. And this crisis particularly very serious in India, because in India 78 million tons of food are discarded each year. And how many people are hungry in India? There are like 20 crore Indians. They go to bed hungry without having meals. But here we are wasting 78 million tons of food. Okay, so here this article is saying that what actions can be taken to decrease this food wastage. Very important. So first one here is, at household level, individuals, they can reduce waste through smart meal planning and shopping. So before cooking food, just ask the preferences of people in the home, whether they eat chapati or whether they eat rice or whether they eat curd rice or curry rice or anything sambar rice. So ask their opinion and try to cook according to that so that we can reduce the wastage. And next one here is, so if you go to shopping, especially now in urban areas, we have this DMarts, right? So despite of using that, if we like anything, we'll be keeping in our bag. So rather than that, you have to maintain a proper shopping list before going for the shopping and try to shop according to your list. Don't waste the things after buying it. And next one is for food storage. Normally, if you open tiffin boxes or the boxes where you store this ration in your home, so when you open them, sometimes the food will be get spoiled because of rodents or because of some small insects like that. So you have to use proper airtight containers so that you can store food for the long period of time rather than wasting that. And next one is, we have to use the leftovers very creatively. For example, whatever the leftovers after cutting the vegetables will be there, we can convert it into soups, or we can use that in sambars like that. And next one here is, whatever the other things we can't go for cooking means, we can go for making it of vermicompost, and that compost we can use for plants. Okay, and we can also donate some surplus food to the local food banks or charities. And next one is, government need to invest in building of cold storage things and proper transport infrastructure. so that the vegetables and fruits will be transported to the nearby markets on time, so that they will not be rotted or they will not be get wasted. And this one is business also, they have to adopt sustainable practices. For example, resolding of redistribution of unsold food. If they didn't sold the foods, so try to sold them for the low price, or else try to redistribute them for the poor people, so that they will they will give some food for the people who are having this hunger. Next one here is, even our education institutions, they have to provide certain awareness to the people, and we can come up with some innovative solutions like food redistribution networks, and we have to improve this cold storage systems. Okay. And even actually there are certain initiatives which were already taken by our country. Those are like safe food, share food. So like that we have to come up with the lot of programs, so that we can at least give certain food for the hunger people. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to remember. And next one is the need for localized urban agenda. So this is also a very important article which I find which is relevant. So actually, what is the urban development? So which list it comes under? So actually, whenever talking about urban development, that is development of urban areas or cities, it is a state subject. But here now, center is also trying to shape this urbanization policies. So because of this, there are always questions between center and as well as state. So who has the power? And actually, the total union budget should devolve, so that around 70 percentage of that devolution of budget should goes to the direct transfer to the states, to this state finance commission to city governments. But actually, many of times here, what happens here is municipalities or urban areas, they will be not getting proper funds. So it is a one important problem. And especially in democracy countries like India, national institutions, they are geographically distinct bureaucracies that tend to be insulated from public and disconnected from community service delivery problems. So actually in our country, we are having certain problems, like there is lack of proper funds devolution, there is no proper sharing of powers between central government and as well as state government, and state government as well as local community. So because of this, many a times urban development will not go properly in our country. So here you have to know about what is urban development, and what are the advantages of this, and what are the missions or the schemes came up by our country. And next you have to see about what are the challenges we are facing. So if you write all those things in a single page, then your work is done, guys. So this is your homework for the day. So these are the some important articles that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching, and please do like this class and share this class, and don't forget to subscribe to Rathod Science Academy.